Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to this how to rubber stamp guide. Now, with the launch of my brand new first ever set of rubber stamps, I wanted to bring you lots of different videos, different techniques ranging from beginners to advanced crafters. This video is for the beginner. It is literally how to rubber stamp. I'm going to use one of the sets from my own range. I'm using the Father's Day seasonal cluster, and I just want to go through a few pointers if you're having trouble stamping or if you've never stamped before. So I'm going to run through a few of the items that you want, and then we'll do some stamping. So this is the Father's Day seasonal cluster rubber stamp, and if you've watched the preview you'll know we've got the sentiment, we've got the background, we've got the frame, the border and the extra cogs to build up more backgrounds and more designs on the backs of your projects. So the first thing you're going to need are your rubber stamps. Next you're going to need your good ink pads. If you're going to be just stamping and not colouring in, I would go for a permanent ink pad because then it's not going to run or smudge. If you're wanting different effects, you can use your distress inks, you can use so many different inks that there are. I'm going for just the permanent black ink. It's my favourite, is the StazOn. I do like it. You're going to want acrylic blocks to put your stamps on. This is a clean one. And I just want to point out, when they start getting dirty, like this, and they'll probably get a lot worse, you can get cleaner for your stamps, StazOn cleaner. We won't worry about cleaning today because there's so many different things out there to help you clean your stamps. Hot soapy water, the StazOn cleaner, things like that. So we start off with a nice clean block. I'm actually going to use my dirty one because I don't want to dirty up my clean one. So don't worry when your blocks get dirty. Now, the base that you can see, this is just a stamping mat. It's kind of like a thick, spongy, it's not a bouncy sponge, it's kind of a hard sponge surface. If you don't have something like this, don't panic, you can use a pile of A4, maybe you've got scrap paper. It's just the surface underneath needs to be flat with a little bit of bounce in it for you to the stamp to go into. It's kind of hard to describe. If you haven't got anything like this, don't worry, it will just maybe take that third stamp instead of the second after we've just kind of like stamped onto scrap paper. I just find the stamping mat helps me give a clearer image. So the first thing that we're going to need is our scrap paper, and then we're going to want our acrylic block and our stamp. Now I've shown you the nice clean packet of stamps, and these are mine. These are very well loved at the moment, and I've just got them on a storage sheet just to help me because I'm using them a lot. So I've put my stamp onto the acrylic block. It self-clings, and you can see at the back the design, so you'll be able to position it where you want on your project, whether it's a card or a scrapbook, etc. Next you're going to take your ink and you're going to make light tapping onto the top of the actual stamp. This will put ink on the raised parts of the stamp, which is the design. So tap all over, and when I say light tapping, I don't really mean, you know, press really hard, but be firm with it because you want the ink on there. So the first stamp that we're going to do is onto a piece of scrap paper, because I want to see the pressure that I'm putting on and to see if I've got any problem areas. So I'm just turning the stamp and the block over, and I'm going to pop it down onto the scrap paper. I'm going to keep one hand at all times on the block. I'm going to press down firmly top and bottom, and I'm not going to rock, because if you rock, you're maybe going to catch the edge of the stamp where you've maybe got ink on it, and it won't give you a clean image. Now, for anybody who's got dexterity problems, keep pressing and press firmly, and stamping onto scrap paper will show you your stress points. Now, that's quite a good image. It's not quite as clear as I want onto the smooth stamping card, but for the first image, it's showing a little bit of breakup in the stamp where I've tapped the ink onto it. So we do it again, and it's kind of like working the stamp. That first stamp I do is always onto scrap card, because it kind of makes the surface work better. Now, I'm not into all the technical details about rubber stamps, but for me, it's how I roll, and it just works. Now, next, I'm going to take a piece of the smooth stamping card, the Sweet Dixie stamping card. I've inked the stamp, and now we're stamping for real. So we're not stamping on our scrap paper now. So I'm just going to turn the stamp over. I can see through it and where I want it stamping, and I'm just going to place it onto the card, press down like we did with the actual scrap card. I'm just turning my mat round so I can get equal pressure, and press that down, and then we can peel it away, and that is a gorgeous stamped image. The smooth stamping card really does help. Now I'll show you the difference from the scrap paper. It looks great, but we've just got a little bit of broken ink where I've tapped it onto the Father's Day, and you can see it's much clearer on the stamping card. I think that's quite a good view there. Shows, you know, the difference and the clarity on the actual stamping card. Now for this, that's it. The stamp will be dry that you've stamped, and then you can go on to build your card front or do whatever you want with whatever you've stamped. And that to me is the basis of all stamping. Now I've shown you all this gear and saying this is what I use. The only thing, if you are starting out, you just want a bit of scrap paper, you want your stamping card, you want your ink, your stamps and your block. Don't worry about the stamping mat, don't worry about having anything special, you just go for it. For anybody that's having problems, maybe when you're stamping, the sections you're missing, think about how much ink you're putting on, whether your ink pad is dry, whether it's a new one, whether it needs re-inking. Think about how you're pressing it down. There's lots of different ways if you're finding that your stamped image isn't coming up perfect. And it is just the case of practice. Practice on your scrap paper. You can always use this on tags, as backgrounds, things like this. So you're not going to waste whatever you're stamping on scrap paper. But it's just great to have a practice. So please check my website and my blog for lots of different tutorials on the stamping, because there's so many, and this obviously is the start of it all, of showing you how to stamp, and this will guide you through the samples, because we're not going to stamp on every video. Some of them I will have already done it, but I will try and show you a technique on every video to go with the stamping or something a little bit different. So, you know, check them all out and see what you think and let me know. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I hope this has helped, or it will help in the future. So thanks for watching everyone, and I shall see you next time.